What is going on, everybody? Real DL here, and I am back for another episode of First Impressions. I figured, quick impressions, quick impressions. That's the name of the show. I guess it's both. It's a first impression and quick impression, and we're talking about Star Renegades, a recent release last week of a game I was very much looking forward to as a kind of an indie title, and I only really saw like a trailer and a fight, basically a battle from the game. But what really kind of caught me with this game was the look and style of it. It has some really great like pixel art, and it just looks like I just love the sci-fi vibe of it and the way things look. And you'll see in like fights and stuff. It looks really good, and I think that's probably the best part of it. Not to sound negative about the other parts, but it's just a really nice looking game to just watch. So, basically crash land or some like weird interdimensional alien fighting stuff going on. Yeah. This is like the tutorial area where I kind of break down the fighting system. And it's a turn-based RPG, and then this is a very key part of that, but it's also a rogue-lite, which is what they say on their Steam page. So it's kind of like, I can never remember what's a roguelike and what's a rogue-lite, but it's kind of like maybe like a monster train or something, Hades, kind of. I don't know. But and that's the part that kind of threw me off, is because I was really expecting this game to be just kind of a more like JRPG strategy game. But it's fat, but it's really just fat as far as the combat goes. A lot of other systems very much are just a roguelite element. But this is the first battle here. And a big part of the combat system is actions on the timeline, as you can see. And depending on the attacks you do and where you land with an attack, it can cause like criticals and push enemies or yourself towards the next turn, or just back in the timeline. And there's armor and shields and all that, but it's got a decent amount of depth to it. But I didn't really feel myself changing strategies all that much. It's mostly it just feels very familiar for turn-based. Some of the bigger battles, which you'll see one towards the end of this video, you kind of have to think a little bit better. But rarely, I just wanted to attack first and take out guys. And you get critical bonuses, different attacks like slash and other moves can place differently on the timeline. So slash is pretty quick for the most part, but I rarely found myself doing slash because a lot of my other squad mates push back enemies to make kind of my big hitters be able to do their bigger moves. You got staggers, you got status effects, all that. Yeah, it takes probably a battle or two to really kind of get comfortable, but I cut out like tons of battles in this video, but I got pretty comfortable with the systems, and I think it's a solid system in place, and I mostly like the combat system. But at least in my first kind of 2 hours with the game, it doesn't really have much variety, at least to start out with. And I'm interested to see how the rogue-lite elements impact that, because you end up getting like you end up picking up stuff along the way. So, but I cut ahead after that first battle, and you got some story stuff. The story very much was trying to be funny a lot of the times, but the writing did not do much for me. One of the cool things though, and this has completely surprised me again, is this game has a sort of like nemesis system in place where there's a bunch of like lieutenants and stuff like that that you need to take out in order to basically lessen the enemy's army. But when if one of them defeats you, they get promoted and basically get stronger. So I really didn't get too much into that in the first couple hours. I did take out a couple generals, but that seems like a very surprising element to this game. And that's kind of my takeaway is, from the surface, and if you look at trailers, this game just looks like a 25-hour RPG, indie RPG with a focus on like story and really good art. But it's a rogue-like light for the most part. The story just seems to be there, and it kind of relies on its gameplay to keep you hooked. Here we get our kind of other teammates. We get like a robot dude, and we get like a Han Solo dude. And there's some Star Wars influence in this game I could add to. You'll probably see that towards the end of the video. But yeah, like I said, writing did not do much for me. And from what I could tell from my first couple hours, you basically get transported to different areas, and you just kind of have to move through the area and complete your objective. And that's kind of it. You don't really have like this open world to explore, which is kind of disappointing because it looked really good, open world. But you're just basically moving from like area to area within this bigger area that you get teleported to, and sometimes you'll have an enemy to fight within the next area. So just like right there, I just moved to the next area and it automatically starts to fight. So here you get to see how your new squad mates kind of change things up. And they all have kind of their own thing. The robot is mostly a healer who has an AoE attack. And the Han Solo dude is like a assassin kind of thing where he'll do sneak attacks. He has an attack that lets you basically attack right away. And it has some other status effects which was pretty useful, so I ended up using it quite a bit. Yeah. But as you can see, like, look at the art. Like, it's the animations on the attacks and stuff like that are really well done, and the backgrounds, I mean, look fantastic. And our team just did a knockout job. And I think that's really what kind of caught my attention with this game, is just how it looked in action, because it looks just super good. So I ended up using Cleave a lot, because that's kind of a big hitter. And Blitz, which I didn't do again, but Blitz is the move that works right away. And as you can see, the robot did the AoE attack, took out somebody, but I also moved the robot spider back in the timeline. And then the straight shot from Han Solo dude pushed him out of the round, and then I just finished him off anyways. The character models, character art, I guess you could say, a little less good compared to the backgrounds and environments, but it's fine. So yeah, some areas that you go into you don't actually fight, and you get like DNA, you get some other credits and stuff like that for up the areas, and you also camp, which I'll be showing very soon. But yeah, you got a couple of different enemy types, at least in the beginning here, but we'll jump to the camp. So the camping is basically you have days within your area, the area you get transported to, and after a couple of battles you have to camp for the night, and you can use cards and stuff to increase your relationship with other players, or not other players, other characters. And that gives you a boost and stuff like that. So you got a lot of systems here, and a lot of them very much are rooted in like rogue-lite elements and kind of just a genre overall, with some RPG elements also sprinkled throughout. And this is how you kind of heal up and stuff like that, because you do not regain health really much at all. Shields do come back after... I'm trying to think, it's the battle or the day? I think it's the day, after the day. And you can give your teammates like boost and stuff like that. Like plus 30 max shields for the next 2 combats or battles. And by the end of this, I think I only got like relationship level up to one heart. And I didn't really notice too much of a difference. And you got that little robot dude who I kind of skipped over, but you kind of control him because he's going through different dimensions in order to stop the bad guys. I don't remember what they're called. Justin is the robot's name, J5T-1N. Imperium is the bad guy, or bad force. So here you have a bunch of lieutenants here. And you can kind of scout them out and see what their strengths and weaknesses are. So very much Nemesis system playing out here. Maybe not to the level of Shadow of Mordor and stuff like that, but and these are mostly like boss characters that are kind of spread out throughout the areas. And Mother is the one that's towards the top, towards the crown. I wouldn't guess that's kind of the end game. If you can take down Mother, you basically win. And I didn't really get close to that. But these areas are pretty open for the most part. You can go a number of different ways. But it also has leveling as well, which I kind of did notice the level up signal a couple times. But here I am leveling up using DNA you get from fights and just the environments, which gives you a boost to health damage and can give you powers and camping cards and stuff like that. And if you take down bigger kind of boss enemies, you also get items like weapons and armor and stuff like that, which you can equip to your guys and make them stronger. And it gives them like abilities and new moves and stuff like that sometimes. And this leveling system, I don't know how I feel about it. It's like because you do lose all your progress and stuff you pick up from your previous run. But you do end up like unlocking new characters and some other stuff. There's some currency that lasts towards your next run, which you can use to purchase some boosts and stuff like that, buffs. So yeah, I just leveled up since I didn't know what to do with it. And again, look at this environment. It looks so good. And the music's pretty solid too. And this is something I didn't learn until I think later on, but you can move your characters in any order. You don't have to go in a specific order. I just didn't notice it at first. So I could probably have started out with the rogue guy or a robot before attacking with a armor suit girl. But you just gotta learn these things. And I think it does an okay job at teaching you some of this stuff in the game. But you definitely feels like you need to fail more than a couple runs in order to move on later in the game. But this is kind of the big battle at the end of this area here, and this was a long fight. And that's kind of the one of the things that I really don't know if I like about the game, is that you have a bunch of kind of not short fights and battles, and then you also have pretty long JRPG boss battles. And it's a run-focused roguelite. So this run, which I cut down quite a bit, was like about 2 hours. And that's just me just trying to get through the first chunk of that run. So a run could be probably like 8 hours to 10 hours, maybe. And I feel like that's just too long for a game to be a roguelite that's focused on dying and doing another run. It's just too long. I mean, you can save, but it's also, by the time you come back from a save, you might not know what you were doing before and stuff like that. And that's why I always kind of prefer the roguelites and roguelikes that were kind of a nice like hour to 2 loop, where like at most, once you kind of get the game down, at most your runs are going to be like an hour and a half and you're done. It's not a huge commitment, but this feels like it's going to be a really long commitment, at least to start out with. And I don't know if that really helps the game really much at all. And that's my big issue, is like I feel like they jumped on the popular aspect of roguelikes and lights, and it kind of ends up making the game not be as good as I think it could be, as if it was just a traditional strategy RPG. Because I feel like you'd be a lot more committed to the characters and stuff like that if you didn't die after pretty much every time you start up playing. And you have to redo the exact same fights at the beginning and stuff like that. And there's random elements and stuff like that to it. But yeah, that's the one part that probably prevented me from not wanting to really jump into the game further. I think it's a really cool game and fun game, but it's just a little bit too long for me, for the genre and stuff like that, but it wants to be in. And this fight, it was kind of hard, like, because they don't really tell you about like moves that you should really think about avoiding. I mean, they do tell you, but there's, at least maybe I'm just stupid, there's not a really great indication of a super move coming. And this guy has a crap ton of shields that he got to recharge too. So yeah, I did lose at the end of this fight. I think it got him down to like 20% of his health. And, but yeah, it was a long battle. And I'm not going to show you the end of it, because that'd be this entire video. But I know I was sounding negative about the game, but it's still a cool game. It's on Game Pass and stuff like that. It's on Game Pass. It's on PC. I think that's it. I don't think it's out on consoles yet. So if you got Game Pass on PC or Steam, it's $22. Well, not long ago. It's gonna be $25 pretty soon. But if you just like the kind of the traditional strategy RPG type of gameplay, I think you could get some mileage out of this game. That's for sure. I'm just not sure if it's got its hooks in me, especially because it's gonna be a hard game. Because if you screw up, you definitely pay for it. And I screwed up multiple times in this fight, and I paid for it because I lost my healer pretty quickly in here, and that's not good. That is not good. This fight, though, I just want to kind of give you a good flow of what a boss battle is kind of like. And we're probably only like maybe halfway through this fight. I know I have his shields knocked down and I'm doing some damage to his health, but he recharges his shields, which is the biggest FU in these types of games. I hate it. So we'll just jump to the end. Alright, so this is after I died. And none of the characters survive, you just jump to a new dimension. You do get intel. You get some bonuses and stuff for after each run. But it isn't anything major, I noticed. And here I unlocked a new character, which I did not play with, because I only really played this game once. So this is pretty much going to be your hub for, I think, most of the game. And it has a cantina, which, wink wink, definitely isn't Star Wars related. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before in a game. And you can pet the dog, but the dog does not like it. This is so... Can we get sued for this? Because it definitely sounds like something very familiar. Yeah, pet the dog does not like it. But yeah, that's Star Renegades. It is a... It's a very cool looking game. I like the art a lot. I don't know if it's for everybody. It has some good systems in place. I do enjoy the combat for the most part. But I just don't know if the roguelite elements are what I want from this game. And that's just me personally. But it's a cool game. I still think if you got Game Pass on PC, I think it's definitely worth giving a try just to see if you enjoyed it. Very curious to see how this game evolves maybe later on, if anything, because it's not launching in early access, it's actually launching. So I guess we'll see. But I've been Real Deal. This has been quick impressions of Star Renegades. And I will see you in my next quick impressions. But make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And drop by your local cantina and give them some help. But don't pet the dog. Don't do it. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.